hoping that Topaz Mountain is going to be okay. Just because of the location, there's not a large water table. The snowpack shouldn't really affect it too much, we're hoping. But we'll make that decision in April to give you guys as much notice as possible. If we do need to make a change, we want to make sure you guys have at least a month. So we're still planning Topaz for May. And then June is another one that's really questionable. This one is a heartache for me personally because I was looking forward to riding Duck Creek. It's a beautiful area down there. But our ride guide, Charlie Stevenson, for those of you who know him, he's down there. It's where he lives, he resides. He sent us photos. They've got over 7 feet of snow right now. So, and that's in the town. That's not even up on the hill. So the possibilities of the Duck Creek ride in June being moved, we're discussing the possibility of just moving the Memorial ride from June to September. We're hoping by September that Duck Creek area might be an option, but again, with the weather the way it is, we're trying to be as fluid as we can this year. We need to adhere to our own guidelines of tread lightly. It's not just a matter of making sure that we don't beat the heck out of the trails. When you have 40 machines and 40 tow rigs and their trailers, that's a big area that we have to worry about how much we're going to contaminate it. So we're trying to weigh all these issues as we're putting together the ride schedule, making these adjustments. Another thing to note, a couple of people have brought to question recently ride caps. We've had some long discussions about ride caps amongst the board, and we feel that our motto has always been come ride with us. We want people to come out and enjoy our sport and get involved in what we do, because if people don't do that, then we're going to end up losing our sport, we're going to lose our trails. So we're not going to establish ride caps for our rides. Any paid member of this club that wants to ride with us will always be welcome. Unpaid members that are just trying to get established and want to come out, they will be welcome. Our motto will always be come ride with us. With that said, we are going to be fluid, meaning that we will continue to gauge every ride that we have. If we have an excessive amount of machines, we are going to split the rides. If that means we have to reverse track, or if our ride group has a completely separate track laid out, that's what we're going to do. Again, we want to minimize the amount of impact we have on the trails, and ultimately we want everyone that's there to participate to enjoy what we're doing. And we've all been on those 60, 70 machine rides. They're not that fun. I'm just going to be honest with you. That's a lot of dust for somebody to eat. So when we get to that 40, 50, 60 machine mark, we're going to be splitting these rides into groups that are smaller and more manageable. And again, we don't have a hard set number that we're going to cut at 30 or 40. It's going to be based on the area that we're riding, the capabilities and the people that we have available. A lot of it will be based on the support staff we have. A few people here have offered to step up in the event we need extra support, and they're competent riders, so we'll be taking them up on those offers. So with that said, that's kind of our plan for rides coming into the future. We're looking at putting together our schedule for our guest speakers every month. I think that it's been a pretty big hit that you guys would like to learn stuff when you're sitting here. It makes it worth your time. It makes it worth our time. So we're trying to get things lined out currently, but we need some help. We're kind of exhausting all of our personal ideas as far as who to bring in and what kind of information you're looking for. So if you have suggestions, something you want us to find somebody to come in and talk about, whether it's somebody that specializes in suspension or tires or, I don't know, cook stoves, I don't care what it is. If it's related to the outdoors and what we do, camping, riding, otherwise, we'll find somebody to come in and talk about the things that interest you, but we need to know what that is. So please don't hesitate to contact any member of the board with a suggestion, and then if you know somebody personally, that's even better. We'll get it scheduled. Is that easy enough for everyone? All right. Before I pass the... Go ahead, Kat.
I just have a quick question.
Sure.
For the Sand Hollow, now that it's being changed to Sand Hollow, is that going to be just a one-day ride, or are you guys planning to do a 2-day?
Great question. Thank you.
Keeping it at one or?
Because we're traveling so far to go to Sand Hollow, we're actually putting forth the effort to make it a 2-day ride. We'll make it a Friday, Saturday ride. For those of us with cabin fever that want to get out, if you're going to spend the time and energy to go to Sand Hollow down by St. George,
What date was that again?
I don't remember the date.
It's 15.
Oh, it's just
15.
the April ride.
Yes, the April ride. We're just making it a 2-day ride, so it'll be Friday, Saturday, the same weekend, but instead of Erickson Pass, we're going southward. It's hopefully a lot drier and at least manageable. So, plan on 2 days. Like I said, we will have information up on the website shortly. I believe the pin drop is already there. Bill, did you get that?
I haven't put it up there yet.
Okay. Well, our ride crew's already putting together a plan. They've got a staging area identified. We just have to update the website and we'll get that done as quickly as possible. So the pin drop for the staging point will be there. And then for those that are not interested in breaking out their camp trailers quite yet and want to trailer down and stay in a hotel, we'll try to get some information in the next week or so, and that'll be updated as well. Did that answer your question? Thank you for bringing that up. Anything else? Okay. Well, we're brought back Mike Paul. He's our guest speaker today. If you remember, we brought him in last fall. He took the time to explain to everybody the proper way to winterize your RV, and now it's the opposite end of that time where we need to know how to prepare it for the season. So Mike's going to come up and explain some things, answer questions. Please ask him questions because it challenges him. He likes to think he knows a lot, but he has his moments.
Well, I thought we were talking about sex ed, and I was super prepared, but I had like displays and everything.
There you go.
We're going to
See.
be talking about trailers, that's fine.
All right. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah. Roger, man. Okay. We want to start with questions, or does anybody have a question off the top of their head? That might be easier. De-winterizing, anything like cool stuff you could put on your trailer, how to, anything? All right. Well, I take that silence as most people have a pretty damn good idea of how to winter or de-winterize your trailer. It's pretty simple. It's not the time to do it yet. It is coming. Last time I believe I talked about checking your batteries, making sure if they're plugged in and you're maintaining them, not off the unit, meaning that the converter on the trailer's continually charging them, that you check the fluid levels. So if you haven't done that, it's probably not going to make much of a difference between now and a month or two. But maintenance is pretty simple. Yearly, every 10,000 miles, you're looking to do your bearing pack. The Zerk fitting that sits on some of the axles, outside of the axles, right on the edge, is not for packing bearings. That is for, if you have a trailer without brakes, fine, fill it up, do what you want to do. It's not going to hurt anything. It's going to blow grease out, so what? If you have trailer brakes, it will eventually blow out your seal, fill your brake drums up with grease, and you will not have any braking in that wheel anymore, which is 25% of your brakes, or single axle, 50% of your brakes, or triple axle for some of you. Figure out the math. I'm not very good, but it takes that whole wheel out, and can cause some significant problems, overheating, things like that, if it's getting hot enough long enough. So when you do consider doing your axle bearings, you want to make sure you do them yearly or every 10,000 miles and get it done either professionally or do it yourself. If you don't know YouTube, I can talk to you a little bit about it. YouTube's a great resource nowadays, as long as you are sure about who you are watching and the information you're getting. There's a lot of bad to go right along with a lot of good, so just make sure. I don't know of a good YouTube channel. Maybe I should start one. I don't know. But it's one of those things you got to verify your information that you're getting it from. Tire pressure, making sure your tires are not, as we all heard, China bombs. Invest in your tires. If you don't want to and you get a blowout, your weekend's done. Because most likely it's going to take out your plumbing. It's going to cause damage to something significant enough that you will not be able to fully enjoy your weekend. So make sure that you check your tires, check your tire pressure. It's not bad to have a tire pressure monitoring system. They're getting a little bit cheaper. Bluetooth, there's all sorts of different versions of them. Again, you get what you pay for with tires and tire monitoring systems. Check. Does anybody here not know how to check a DOT code, manufacture date on your tire? Everybody road. It'll ruin your whole entire deal.
How long are they good for?
Well, that kind of depends on maintenance. You know, if you are rotating them regularly, keeping them out of the sun, sun's a killer. UV rays just really damages them. I personally am a visual guy. If I maintain my tires and they're not cracked and they're pushing 10 years, they're probably worn out anyways, but I don't think more than 10 years on anything. Especially if it's not a good known quality tire, I wouldn't push it past probably 5 or 6. But it's personal opinion, you know, that's just my thoughts and theories. I've seen some 12, 13 years, but that's a tire that was made 13 years ago too. You know what I mean? Everything's made cheaper and not as good. So just keep that in mind. You know, a good solid visual inspection, any cracking at all. If your tire's been sitting half flat through the winter time, it's probably not very good anyways. Maybe take it somewhere, have them check the bead on your rim. Rim's cracked too. They're made of aluminum. It could be valve stem. I don't know, just little things to consider. So, yes. It's one of the most terrifying things that you'll go through. You're pretty sure your trailer just exploded behind you, and you have nothing left.
Not always, though.
That's true.
You feel like you got rear-ended.
There's that too. And there's some blowouts that it's not even a blowout. You're just slowly going flat, and then it's just flapping, and then the recap and retread and all the rubber just blows out behind you and then takes it all out. A tire blowing up versus going flat and running itself out and then destroying everything, most often I think we're probably consumed with driving rather than realizing that one of our 4 or 6, or well, 2 tires you're going to know, but a tire going flat, partially flat, you might not likely realize until it's too late. Just because your tire tipping ever so slightly, it's really hard to know that, especially if you're towing a fifth wheel. You know, it doesn't nearly show as much as being on your tongue pole. For those that double tow, have a camera on the back. I double tow, I have a camera. I'm staring at that thing often. I check it often. If it's wiggling weird, there's something wrong. Just know your equipment more than anything. If you're not comfortable doing it, go tow it around. Go take it to and from work a couple times. Go take it around the church parking lot. Go take it to an empty Sam's Club or Costco, and just go drive. Learn how to drive it, because I tell you, it really sucks taking out the side of your trailer or something. When you leaving a gas pump and you forget about that big nice yellow Ballard pole that just sideswipe the back end of your tire, or know your turning radiuses. Busted back window, second trailer going into the back of your first trailer. I mean, there's so many scenarios. If you're not comfortable and you don't know, hook up, go practice somewhere. All you're going to do is get better. Or you're going to break your stuff before you're on a trip. I mean, that's a little bit better, right? Than being on a trip and blow out your back window on your pickup truck. So, other maintenance items, your hitches, your chains, safety, it's all safety. Your emergency breakaway for your brakes, check all aspects of it. If that little black box that does your breakaway, does anybody not know what I'm talking about? Your breakaway cable, the metal cable or the bungee cable that's hooked to a little black box. If that black box looks like it's melted, it's bad. It's gone. It's done. It's served its purpose, and it's time to inspect the rest of your brake system because something happened. And it's either the pin got pulled for an extended period of time and it melted due to amperage, or something happened inside one of your brakes. Where there's many scenarios, but it'd be a hell of a time to find out your brakes aren't working going down the road, or your breakaway needs to work and it doesn't. Go ahead.
Where would be a good place to pack all of that professional?
Well, I will say that Legacy RV is one of the highest rated service departments in Utah. And I, as the service manager, and I demand a lot out of my technicians and the quality of work, and we stand behind it. When we're human, we make mistakes. It happens sometimes, but we go through a lot of training to make sure that things are done right, properly, and we have a lot of good communication. So, but outside of that, I wouldn't know anywhere to go. Everybody else is terrible as far as I'm concerned, but not terrible. That's not true. There's a lot of good service centers. If you have a good service center, go to your service center. If you have a good rapport with your riders and you trust the technicians, go see them. Just make sure that you're not killing the guy next to you or the people in your vehicle because you refuse to spend $1,000 even to make sure your rig is safe. I mean, it comes down to that sometimes. People kill people because they refuse to properly check and service and maintain their equipment. It's infuriating. You might just drive drunk and stare at your cell phone and wait for something to happen. If you're not going to maintain it, go drive drunk with your cell phone in front of your face. No difference. It's just time. It's a matter of time. So, anyways, off that soapbox. Breakaway cable, super easy. If you have any ability to cut and strip wires, you can replace one of those breakaway cable boxes. It's really, really easy. Do an amp check. Again, YouTube, Legacy RV Service Center. Right now, our appointments are about 2 days out. If you want to come in and get it done, now is the time. Everybody just came off their RV show. In about 2 weeks, we're going to be about a month out. It's already booking up. And between me or any other service center, it's about the same. So get it in now. Get your appointments. Almost everybody takes appointments now. It's not just walk in. Not very often. With that, the safety chains, your couplers, your bumper pull hitches, your fifth wheel goosenecks, anything that attaches your trailer to your vehicle needs to be inspected. It needs to be inspected for cracks. If you see rust on welds, doesn't mean it's bad, but it means it needs a further look. Rust is when your metal's gapping, it's cracked. Something happened to that weld or frame or something. You see a rust line going down the middle of your frame, it's rusting because it's cracked. Guarantee you there's a crack there. It's just the nature of rust. It's a great thing when it reveals damage. Safety chains, same thing. They all come to, typically, a lot of them come to one attachment point. Is that actual attachment point good? I've seen safety chains that the way that they are mounted to the coupler, right underneath the coupler, when you're turning with these bigger sway control hitches, it actually contacts that one little hook for your safety chains and has worn them damn near through. And fortunately, we've caught them before it gets bad, or the customer catches it before it gets bad, or it breaks off and falls off before you need them. We've all seen pictures of trucks sitting on a bridge with their trailer hanging off, or vice versa, hanging by chains, or it keeps from killing somebody because it's still attached to your truck, fortunately. It all matters. It all counts. It all needs to be inspected yearly for those big coupler devices. If it feels funny, if it looks funny, get somebody who knows. Have them check it out. You want your coupler or anything, you want an inspection done, something like, hey, does that look right? Bring it by my shop. Don't even have an appointment. Just call us. Hey, Mike said I could bring it by and have this looked at real quick because it looks weird. Cool, bring it by. Because if I tell you no and you go kill somebody because something doesn't look right, I'm going to feel bad. No, bring it by. I'd rather take 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes of my time or one of my technicians' time to look at your equipment to make damn sure that you're safe going down the road. What else? Yes?
Best way to sanitize your water system?
There's a lot of different, not necessarily chemicals, but there are cleaners that are out there that you can pour directly into your freshwater tank, and it gives you very good directions on how you can do it. I've heard people use vinegar, an extremely light bleach solution. There's a lot of good ways to do it. Either way, you need to make sure you are rinsing that holding tank, because most of it's holding tank. Your water lanes are always being flushed, essentially, right, when they're moving, but the holding tank is always holding water. So even your gray and black tank, vinegar, just straight vinegar. I will put a 20-pound bag of chopped ice, chunked ice in my toilet right before I go anywhere on my first trip with water, some chemical, whatever, 5 gallons of water, and just drive down the road, and that ice is just back and forth. Just beating the hell out of everything, taking all the crusty, rusty, globule, last year's tacos and knocking them off. If your sensors are reading wrong, it's not necessarily something wrong with the sensor itself. It could be a piece of toilet paper stuck up against it. That'll screw up the sensor the most typical way. But, it cleans everything up. Your fresh tank, I can't remember the names of them, but a very light bleach solution is usually pretty simple. Put, 15, 20 gallons in there and run it through, fill it up, run it through, and you should be good. If you smell bleach, keep rinsing it. Your water heater, the primary part of the water heater, when it's unbypassed, the holding tank, if you will, it doesn't need much flushing past when you pull your drain out. You can stuck your hose where your anode rod goes. Anybody not know what an anode rod is? That's that big long rod that goes into the drain that keeps your water from leaking, and it also keeps the electrolysis from melting your tank essentially when it's heating it. When you pull that out, you'll always see the white crusty stuff in the bottom. You can take your hose, fill it up, and open your pop valve, by the way, that brass valve, open that up first, then shove the hose in so you don't get exploded upon. Let it run and fill it up, drain it out. Do it 3 or 4 times until you get most of that stuff out. It's not going to hurt you. It's not likely to get into your water system, but you got screens and everything too that can prevent any of that corroding anode rod, whatever it is, the residual, from getting into your whatever, drinking water, or, your cup or whatever. Does that kind of cover it in a very broad way? Okay, cool. You might want to make sure your water pump works thoroughly. It's not that it's cycling properly, it's shutting off properly when you do dewinterize. I personally hook up to the city water, run everything through thoroughly until I get good clean water that doesn't smell funky or have any type of, not oily residue, but that might be if it's been a very dusty past year, you can usually take the cover off. Each one is slightly different, but there's screws on top, screws around the front. You got to sometimes manipulate the cover to come off on Coleman's, but you have coils that are up there. There is an RV coil cleaner that's specific to RVs. You can spray that down in there and it cleans out your coils. If there's no air moving through there, your air conditioner will not work. It's a heat exchanger. It requires air to go through it on both the hot side and the cold side. Just make sure you're not, again, getting ridiculously close and careless with wiring. Just like anything else, it's a circuit board that's in there. You get a little too overzealous with it and damage it. You could be a day, you could be 4 weeks before, it could be 6 months. I don't know. Some things on older models are not so easy to get let alone new ones. But service your ACs, your condensers, make sure your screens inside are clean. Anything that's meant to move air, make sure it can. What else? Anybody have any? Oh, seals. Oh man, seals and sealant. Seals and sealant for roofs, for slides, windows, doors, everything that had silicone on it at one point. 90 days is what the manufacturer recommends to inspect. They only warranty them for 90 days, the manufacturer, once you purchase one. Dealerships usually cover it after that. But smearing silicone on is better than nothing. It's better than having a water coming through and just causing extreme damage, which, by the way, is not covered by insurance. It's not covered by warranty. It's not covered by dealerships. That is, unfortunately, pay attention to your slides and slide seals. Water's coming in, get it fixed. Don't just presume that someone else is going to pay the bill. Especially insurance. That's a maintenance item. They don't cover it. At least I have never got one to cover it. Bulb seals, wiper seals on slides. The bulb seals are the ones that look towards you when your slide opens and it looks bulbous and round. Those are your bulb seals. There's typically one on the inside. There's almost always one on the outside, and they go on your two sides across your top. Bulb seals and wiper seal. The wiper seals is literally the blade-looking seal that goes on typically all four sides of your slide, inside and out on the two vertical sides and the top horizontal, but not on the inside of the bottom, just traditionally on the outside. With those, you need to make sure on the top slide seal, more than anything, that they have not gotten compressed to a point where they are not able to spring back out anymore. It's something that they deteriorate, they hold their shape, they through heat and moisture and everything, they can glue themselves as though the slide was closed. So the next time you close your slide, they become ineffective. A lot of water gets inside on one rainstorm, wipes out your parts of your interior on your slide. There's a lot that goes into it. I don't know if I'm going over. Do I need to? We good? Okay, so so get up on a ladder. Just have somebody get up on a ladder for you. Inspect them, check them. If there's debris up there at any point in time before you close your slide, clear the debris off. A pile of leaves or pine cone needles or whatever gets up there, it will still close, but now you have a bunch of stuff that's not sealing because it's gotten in its way of being able to make that flush seal up against the bulb seal. So yeah, you're getting water in that way too. Yes?
Question.
Sure.
Is it better to store your RV with the slides out or in? And then second question, on the slide out, with rubber gaskets on the outside, on mine, one of them's torn, and it's ripping like in half, the rubber gasket on the outside. Is that something a novice can change, or is that a dealer item?
So let me answer your first question. I don't store my slides open. Why am I going to subject my slide to all that weather and weight on a roof that has even less structure and support? If you've ever wondered how it is that a slide holds itself against the wall, it's those three trim pieces that are built pretty well that are being pushed out against your wall. So it's not an ideal situation, in my opinion, to leave them out. You're also, all that weight on your slide roofs, they're not made for, in my opinion, they're not made for that. I mean, we've had a hell of a snowstorm, a lot of snow accumulation this year. Normally we don't, but I don't see any reason to subject your unit to any further environmentals than necessary. You're just asking that much more of an opportunity to fail. Your slide seals absolutely needs to be fixed, because the first barrier for keeping moisture out is that wiper seal. Because the inside of your coach, so you have your wall, this is the outside wall, the inside wall, you have your wiper seal that sits here, your bulb seal when the slide is open that's doing nothing, you have another wiper seal here, and a bulb seal that sits here. So if you've got complete water coming in here, it's going down to the bottom where you are most vulnerable for water intrusion. And a lot of times with one wiper seal that's wiped out, the bottom corner has no protection, or very little protection, I should say. And the water will find its way. It's a sneaky little son of a bitch. It will find its way into your coach. It just does. Sometimes it's just a little bit. Most of the times it's more than what you ever could want, because by the time you realize it, it's too late. Depending on the seal will depend on whether a novice can repair it. Most of the time there is a easier application. Some of them slide into this little tiny channel that's virtually impossible to do without ripping the brand new seal, but they have stick-on ones. You just have to prep the area accordingly, and usually that comes with a brand new track for a brand new bulb seal to attach to. So in most cases I would think yes, But my mind says the novice guy might be different from what a novice guy actually is. So in most cases, it's not terrible to do.
Hydraulics.
So hydraulics, keep in mind anytime that, especially with RVs, when hydraulics are cold, they just almost refuse to work, especially when they've been sitting for a while. I typically, when I am dealing with the customer's unit, will run hydraulic rams in before I go out, just because the batteries, the pumps, the fact that the fluid is syrup or a thicker viscosity sometimes, it's easier to get it going. It's easier to sit down before standing up, kind of a theory, right? It feels better to sit down than it does to stand up. So it's kind of that same theory, if you will. Hydraulic fluid needs to be checked with every actuator in its most closed position. So all your slides in, all of your landing gear retracted, and which is a great time is when you hook up, because it's ATF, automatic transmission fluid, is 99% of what you could put into a reservoir. It's the same thing. It's what most of them put in, and you will be fine. And you can fill it up a half an inch from your fill hole, depending on exactly how it's sitting. Got to remember, when hydraulic fluid gets warm, it does expand. So if you fill it right up to the top right now, and you come out in 3 months and you have a huge hydraulic puddle underneath your coach and all over the place, you overfilled it. You don't have a leak in the system, you just overfilled it. It's kind of a common thing. Anybody here have ever had their hydraulics ping, like crack almost? Sounds like the metal rod is almost cracking. You can put, instead of filling it up, or suck some out, and put anti-friction, I think it's just anti-friction lube, honestly, a quart of anti-friction lube. I mean, you can Google the hell out of this, it's all over, but there's anti-friction that you can put into it and run everything a couple of times, and it actually eliminates that. It's pretty neat. I wish I would have known that when I was a tech, but live and learn. Most customers figure out a lot of problems for technicians because, believe it or not, when we're stumped, we go to YouTube. We go to the manufacturer first, but we always find ourselves somewhere on YouTube, like, oh, and it works.
How often does it need to be changed?
I would say when it's no longer that really nice, bright red, beautiful color. They're sealed systems minus the reservoir. So if you are finding that somehow your fluid is extremely dirty, either your cap gasket is no longer fitting properly, it is rubber, it can crack and fall apart, kind of like an old radiator cap, just because it's on there doesn't mean it's sealing. Or it's, maybe the cap was left off, maybe you left your door open during a really bad, shitty windstorm in the desert. I would pay attention to the color. I don't know if there is a way to know how many times that the hydraulic's been ran, to know if it's still viscous, it's still it's still oily, it still functions the way it's intended to. I would suspect if you are running your hydraulics and it sounds funny, your pump is sounding funny, anything like that, either your pump is bad, or maybe it's time to change the fluid and see if your pump is bad. Expect it to last that long. Insurance is really, really, really nice to pay for roofs if they're maintained. If they're not maintained, well, there's water damage and whatnot, they might, not. Yeah, I don't. I just clean mine. Super slight soapy water, a very nice gentle brush. Knock off some of the dust and dirt while I'm doing that. When it's rinsed and it dries, now I'm checking my sealant. I'm checking all my sealant on the roof. If you can shove your thumb in a crack in the sealant on your roof, put something in it that is not, don't put silicone and get Dicor. Dicor is what's on 90% of roofs, if not more. You put silicone on it, it's likely to pop right off. What is that other garb? Flex Seal, please. If you're going to put Flex Seal on and then you come to any RV dealership and say, I need you to fix that, plan on spending extra labor. And don't get mad when they hit you with a pretty big, here's an extra 2-3 hours because we have to chip it off without damaging your roof. If it comes down to Flex Seal or flooding your coach, sure, throw some Flex Seal on it. Not saying don't use it, but be smart about it. I keep roof tape in my coach. It's 4 inches wide, 20 foot, well, it's probably down to like 14 feet now, because I hit trees too. We all may or may not. It makes a real quick repair, and it makes a permanent repair as far as you don't have to necessarily replace your whole roof if you get it on. If you stick your thumb in there, and it's kind of like the Lincoln Penny head in the tire, if you can stick your fingernail and it goes, into a crack, Dicor. You don't even necessarily have to clean it thoroughly. You can clean it with spit and water and put Dicor on it. And it's amazing stuff. Just make sure it's dry before you do. One last thing, speaking of soapy water, people seem to think that WD-40 and things of these natures need to go on slide gear racks or Schwintek slides. That's the one, the aluminum track on the side that has a little squiggly. Those require no lubrication, but they do, on most any of them, all they really need is warm soapy water. If you are insistent upon putting something on there, a dry silicone lubricant that will not attract dust and dirt and destroy your Schwintek. Those motors and whatnot it takes very little to ruin them. So just keep that in mind. If nothing else, always refer to the Forest River or whoever. You can always go to their website, put your year, make, and model, and see if there's some instruction as far as what it is. Or if you know it came with it, go to that manufacturer's website, Schwintek, Lippert, LCI, manufactures 90% of everybody's trailer that's in here. Doesn't matter who you bought it from, it's pretty much all the same thing. LCI is stamped on damn near everything. So keep that in mind. I think that's it. We good? Any other last minute questions? Go ahead.
Yeah. Your roof, after you wash it, do you put UV protection on it? Or?
I don't chemically treat my roof at all. I just give it a very gentle bath. I use a very, 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 very light Dawn with warm water to clean my solar panels. And I'm up there with a microfiber brush anyways, and then I will go over it with just a light non-abrasive brush. So one of those nice light scrubby brushes you see at car washes, and just go over my roof. Anything that requires heavier elbow grease, I will hands and knees and gently go through it as needed, depending on what it is. What's that?
What about the white stuff they paint on? Is that
There is a what's it called, something armor. No, there's a coating that you can put on that, and I've never dealt with that. We don't do it. It's not a horrible thing to do. I don't know the limitations of it. I don't know anything about it. I know that most of it is installed on fiberglass roofs. They're big class B's and A's that have the already fiberglass roof. I don't know if you can even apply that on top of a rubberized roof. I don't know anything about it. We don't do it. If somebody came to me, I would refer to a professional as far as somebody that knows what the hell they're doing with that stuff, because I just don't know. So that doesn't answer your question other than go see a professional. Outside of...
I don't even wash my roof.
Yeah, well, inspect it. I mean, have someone inspect it. You're at a ride, you see me.
I bought me a new ladder this the other day.
Okay, if you need me to climb up on your roof and we're at a ride or whatever, bring it to my shop, set up an appointment. I'll take a look at your roof. It doesn't take long to inspect a roof. It really, unless it's covered in snow. Don't bring me a snow-covered roof.
What did the normal shop charge to wash it for sleeping or whatever?
I don't treat roofs.
Well,
I just don't. Okay, so when I was a technician, they took one trailer in and cleaned it, peeled all the Dicor off, put some sort of white treatment on it and resealed it, and they came back 4 times because it never took. And I just won't do it. So it's not worth an inexperienced person monkeying around.
What do they charge to wash it?
A roof, it'd probably maybe an hour. So $179. So and that's not like opening up the slides and all that stuff. If you really want a good wash, you can go super cheap to Blue Beacon, and that'll wash your whole thing. They don't get up on the roof, but they do a hell of a job of scrubbing the rest of it down and everything that goes. You know what I mean? I would say start with inspecting your roof. If you see anything that is questionable or whatever, take it to a shop, or if you can get up there, get somebody out there. There's mobile techs. I'm sure their schedules are stacked up, but you know, there's a lot of different ways. But just go up there and take a peek, or have me do it. We're at a ride, and you guys have trailer questions or whatever. If I'm of sound mind, I will be more than happy to answer them in a real way. If I'm not of sound mind, I refuse to be held accountable to anything that I say. That is my disclaimer. So any of those pickled cherries or whatever the hell you fed me that night, it was a good time though. I ain't gonna deny it. That was a really good time. Those were good cherries. Anybody have any other questions that they'd like answered real quick? Legacy RV Center. You need the phone number. It's 801-265-3711. Call it, text it. We respond very quickly on text, and we try to get in and on return phone calls as fast as possible, but we're pretty inundated and overwhelmed, so it does take a minute. So 265-3711, go ahead.
What's the address?
3711 South State. So it actually is 3711 South State, and we end in our phone number at 3711. Super tricky. Yep. Anything else? All right. Thanks, everybody. See you out there.
Therapy. Therapy.
I'll take it.
All right, thank you, Mike.
Yeah.
Real quick, before we move on to our raffle for the night, any new members here tonight? All right, this is the embarrassing part. Stand up, tell us your name and what you're riding. Rock, paper, scissors, here we go.
My name's Shelley.
Shelley.
We have a 2015 Polaris and fifth wheel toy hauler.
Fantastic. And you're probably riding with us because you don't know where else to go. Or you just don't want to ride alone. Well, those are the 2 standard answers we get. So you have come to the right group. It's a great group of people. Everybody here is very welcoming. We pride ourselves on the fact that we leave together for a ride and we always come back and make sure everybody gets back safely.
We pride and leave
A
Kyle.
little disclosure. If you do something silly or stupid, there will be a sticker and a possible nickname. There's a lot of them floating around, so there's probably stories that go with it. So if you come across the nickname or something and want to hear a story, you can ask, and somebody will point you to me, and I'll have to tell it. But anyway, welcome. We look forward to riding with you. So, Britt, come on up.
Bill. Here's a new
Oh,
one.
do we have another new member? Oh, you tried to sneak out. They was going to throw you under the bus. What are you riding? What's your name? John? Well, welcome. Wildcat? Well, we've still got some dedicated quad riders in here. Some very dedicated. Some of us has gotten a little lazier. We lean toward the cage now, but we still get the bikes out once in a while. So again, welcome. Look forward to seeing you out on the trail. So, okay, come on up, Brett. see Brent for your prize. And it looks like Wendy wants to talk to everybody, so here we go. Here, Wendy.
Hello, I'm Wendy Fuller, and I'm with the Merchandise Committee. Vicky. And that's my brother. Michael's my brother.
Love you.
Yeah. So we decided we're going to have a big sale tonight only. Everything is 20% off, so come and get. We only have 2 left of these. The big one is already sold. Okay. And we have hats, we have beanies, we have shirts, we have flags. Everything is 20% off tonight only and only here. So please come see us.
Hey, Bill, any questions from people in Facebook Live today?
No.
Okay, I guess that's it for this meeting. I hope we answered all your questions. If you have any suggestions for guest speakers coming up, please reach out to one of us because we want to facilitate the interest that you folks have, okay? Thanks for coming.
He was going to win, I was just going to give him a pass. So I didn't have to worry about